Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey man, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good man. Nice.
Awesome. All right, I'm recording already, so we might as well actually just get into it. So did you just want to introduce who you are and why you wanted to have a conversation with a vegan today?
Good man. So yeah, I watched some vegan YouTube videos. Earthling Ed came on my feed, and I looked at a few videos like that, and I didn't hear any like good arguments. Then I went like on Discord, looked for
Hmm.
some vegan servers. I talked to people. They repeated kind of the same reasons for veganism, and I think they're not really good, And I love eating meat. I'll continue to do so. But yeah, and then I looked at you. I seen that you're a YouTuber and you debate people on street. So yeah, I want to talk to you.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I guess the first thing I would ask you is what is it you've seen so far from animal agriculture? Like, and have you seen some of like the documentaries, like stuff like Earthlings, Dominion, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, I have seen that.
And did they have like how did they affect you? How did you kind of feel when you watched them?
Uh, like as expected, like I knew what they're about to do to the animals, and they killed them. Um, of course, because we create so much, we have to create so much meat for the humans. There are a lot of animals at once, right? They kill a lot of them at once. They put them together in tight spaces
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I knew that already, and it was what I expected, and I'm fine with it.
But did it have any effect on you seeing how those animals suffer and what they go through? Did it not kind of did you not see it and think, damn, that's fucked up?
Mm. Not really, because it's a matter of reality that I accepted. I accepted that in order to eat meat, we have to kill these animals, and I am for it. I mean, I can say that maybe some things we can do better, right? I believe in killing them as efficiently as possible and as quick as possible, and we should always look for the new methods, right, to make it more quicker.
So would you say you're opposed to causing animals unnecessary suffering?
No, I'm not opposed to that,
Why is that?
because I eat them, and in order to eat them, I have to kill them.
Hmm. But you could just eat something else, right?
Yeah, I can eat something else, but I choose to eat meat and
Mhm.
vegetables. Like I'm an omnivore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess in a second, I guess if you say you've heard no good arguments and all that kind of stuff, what I'll do in a second is ask you to go down the route of the logical consistency thing. But I'll just check first to simplify it. Like, you obviously wouldn't want to be in the animal's position, I would take it. Like, you say it doesn't bother you just because you do it. But if you were in the animal's position, if you were having your throat cut or you were being abused or you were locked in a cage, you presumably would find that unethical, correct?
I wouldn't say that it's unethical. I would just say I might not want to be in that position. I am just assuming, because I don't know all the brain processes happening inside an animal's mind, animal's head.
But you obviously understand that they suffer and they want to live.
Probably, yeah.
Mhm. And that doesn't make you think that it's any less ethical.
No.
Okay, I think you're going to be a bit of a tough cookie to persuade with this, but what I'll do is go down the route of logical consistency.
Hmm.
Um, Now, presumably, if have you heard of name the trait? Do you know what that
Yeah.
is?
Yes, of course.
And you've seen that, you've come across that on Discord, for example.
Right.
All right, so I guess I'll just ask you that, and I'll see what your answers are. Now, there obviously is a way to answer this consistently, but um, if you weren't consistent in your response here, I guess I'd say that you should be vegan. If you are consistent, I would just say, well, damn, dude, that sounds a bit psychotic, but there's nothing I can do to convince you further. So presumably, if we were to switch the animals in those farms and slaughterhouses with humans and do the same things to them, you would not support that.
Of course, yeah, I wouldn't.
Okay. So I guess the question then is, what is it that's true of animals that, if true of humans, would cause you to support holocausting humans for meat, dairy, eggs, and so on?
Yeah. So I have two explanations for this, like two points, right? First of all, the truth is that humans are created in God's image, and we have moral value, and we have how you say, we are to rule over the animals and use them for food and for like protection and to carry stuff for us. So I believe that we are put above animals. But and I have another argument that doesn't involve God. It is that the species have an inbuilt preference of their own for survivability. So they have to value their own species over others. And this is due to evolution. If you believe in evolution and in a non-God world, that this mechanism is very efficient and very good for the species to survive.
Well, can I just ask, if you didn't believe in God, would you still eat animals, or would you still see it as ethical to kill and eat animals? Or does your position rest? Is your position tightly contingent on the idea that there is a God and He's given us dominion over animals?
Yes, and I believe that if God didn't exist, I don't believe anything is moral or immoral. I believe it's just things that happen in the physical world. But moral and immoral is then subjective.
Okay, but you would want to have a morally consistent framework, even if God didn't exist, right?
I don't know what's morally consistent. Are you saying that due to my preferences, I'm gonna follow my preferences?
Well, yeah, but they would need to be consistent. Otherwise, you could end up just kind of justifying anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like in a non-God world, if morals are just subjective and a matter of human preference of the human mind, then everything is equal. You know.
I guess the route to go down here then is proof of the existence of God, who says that we do have dominion over these animals. If your position on holocausting these animals is contingent on the idea that there's a supernatural being that gives you permission to do that, I guess I would have to just ask you to provide proof of that.
Right. So I believe that I will not do this because I believe only God can open a person's eyes through His Holy Spirit, and it's a spiritual relationship that only God can open. Yeah, can make you understand. And I don't believe it's something physical. It's not like an object. Look, God over there. And I can also give you, let's say, I can give you this, that let's say that all I'm believing is completely subjective and it's a figment of my imagination and my preferences in order to keep eating meat. Unless you are able to provide that morals are objective, I believe my preference that God exists and that eating meat is moral is just as equal to your preference that not eating meat when it's not necessary, it's immoral.
But I would say that if you're going to argue that morals are objective from your standpoint, you would need to have objective proof of that. You can't just say, oh, only God can open your heart or your eyes or whatever it is. Like if you're just saying, oh, without God, we can just do anything, and morals are just wishy-washy, subjective preference. I'm going to expect that you can provide some kind of objective proof of that, because otherwise your pro-violence position towards animals just hinges entirely on invoking a supernatural being that you can't prove. And then I could just do the same with you. I could just say, I can murder and eat humans because the Loch Ness Monster told me so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I believe that I hold to the belief that the rules of God are written inside of us, basically like a program. I believe the word of God is written inside all people, and I believe some people deny this in unrighteousness because they want to believe that they're autonomous and they can do whatever they want. They don't have to be accountable to a God that's above them, that created them. So this is my belief. So I believe that every single human is aware, but due to our sinful nature, we don't want to recognize it. But let's say that even let me give you this, that let's say that I'm just subjective and I created this God in my mind. Unless you're able to prove that there is a moral objectivity, even me subjectively creating God and these moral principles inside my head will not be less false than any moral principle that you have created inside of your head, right?
But my morality would be contingent on things that we actually experience and are real and that exist. So the idea that others suffer, that they don't want something to happen to them, that they value their lives, these are actually things we can experience that others objectively experience. Where do you not think that's a better moral system than just saying, I think I can Holocaust and rape humans because Barney the dinosaur told me so? Would you not think that that would be a pretty crazy thing for me to say?
No, because I believe you have no foundation and no objective truth behind your moral judgment. For example, experiencing pain is a physical process and physical phenomenon due to receptors that happens in nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you judge that physical phenomenon as immoral, then you have to explain where you get that judgment from. Is it just your opinion? Because I can give you an example. There is a physical phenomenon that if I fall out of a tree or from the top of a building, I'm gonna fall due to gravity and I'm gonna probably die. However, uh, that does not mean that gravity is immoral. That is just a physical phenomenon that happens, just like experiencing pain. Now, if you made the claim that action is immoral, you have to tell me how and why.
Well, no, gravity wouldn't be immoral in that case because it's not thinking about doing like a selfish or non-altruistic or spiteful or evil process. So immoral and moral are related to certain descriptive words that describe the an attitude towards something. So you would end up saying a nonsensical statement, for example, like if I said, for example, I went round someone's house today and they were really, really good to me. They were spiteful, they were nasty, they were cruel, they were unkind, they tortured me, they imprisoned me, they gassed me. Yeah, they were really good. They were really moral towards me. That would be a nonsensical statement, right?
It will not be nonsensical. It's you made a moral judgment about those actions, and they are just as subjective. Your moral judgment is just as subjective as saying that they're evil, right? Those are just things that happen in nature. And even you're saying that I'm thinking to do something that you view as immoral. Even thinking is a result of evolution, if you believe in that. And let's say that the evolution has got me to this point through physical processes that I have this type of brain that makes me think in this type of way. So it's still materialism forming my brain in certain way and paths into my brain to make me think to do certain actions. But this is not immoral or moral objectively. It's just my opinion that my way of thinking is immoral, right?
I still don't accept that that wouldn't be a nonsensical statement. I mean, let's do it the other way. Let's say I went round someone's house today and they were really, really immoral towards me. They were kind, generous, altruistic, caring. Yeah, they were really, what an evil person, how they treated me. Like that would surely be a nonsensical statement. Otherwise, what even are morals?
It is not nonsensical unless you are able to prove that morals are objective and they're objectively true, even if all humans disappear of the face of the earth, there will still be like a moral standard that there is evil and good. Unless you're able to prove that, all 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 your judgments of your environment are ultimately subjective, right?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think the reason that we have these preferences, I mean, are you saying there would need to be some kind of authority on something in order for morals to exist?
Yeah, like if you don't believe in the spiritual world, you have to show like something, either like
Right.
a physical authority above us, or like a law of non-contradiction when it comes to logic, or something that it's
Okay.
universally true, that it's not a matter of opinion, because morals, as you know, humans disagree about what's moral and immoral all the time. So
Mhm.
that's why we disagree about it, because majority of the people, the atheistic people, they don't believe that there is such thing as an
Sure.
objective truth, and that's why they go into battles about it.
But then you could just say your God, that anything that your God is saying is moral and immoral. Are you saying that's objectively right? If your God was to say this is moral or this is immoral, are you saying that's the objective moral truth?
If I said yes, God determines what is moral and immoral,
Okay.
and
What?
if go ahead.
Why is that not just his subjective opinion?
Because we are there is a distinction between the creator and the creation, and everything, if you want to say, if you want to call it subjective, then everything is subjective that has been created. Even the law of gravity, God has decided subjectively that the speed of gravity should be like 9.8 meters per second, you know.
But then that would lead you if to just say that everything is subjective. Even like I'm still, if stuff is, if objective and subjective means essentially independent of a mind, which is one way I've heard
Mhm.
some people describe it, then I'm still not getting how that would just be then everything would just be a creation of God's subjective mind, even in your view. So
Uh,
God, I could just disagree with your God. I mean, if your God thinks it's okay to Holocaust animals, yeah, I think your God's immoral. So,
yeah, but
and I would
again,
ask him to name the trait.
yeah, but again, there's two issues here. First of all, when I say subjective and dependent on the mind, I mean the mind, the creation, uh, and I, of course, obviously we exist. You don't believe there's anybody behind this world that you can see with your own eyes, but I do believe there is a God, and I don't consider that subjective. I only apply subjective, even though by the definition is dependent on the mind. I have to ultimately give authority to God. So if because then everything is subjective, absolutely everything. But I think God created a world, right, that has certain rules and follows certain rules, like the law of gravity, for example, and it is that way. And another, what you said, you will have to call God immoral for being okay with holocausting animals.
Yeah.
Again, if you're not able to show that there is objective, is something being immoral objectively, then you have to agree that it's your subjective opinion, and is like me and you will argue if the blue T-shirt is more beautiful than the red T-shirt.
Well,
It's just as subjective then.
but then how would your own God prove to you that something is objectively moral or immoral? How would he prove that to you?
Again, we have the written word of God inside of us, basically like a program that we know inside of us what is right and wrong, right? But I believe, due to our sinful nature, people want to distract themselves from that thing through alcohol, through this, to partying and all this stuff. So we are not aware of the word of God. This is my belief. So I believe all people are have these things written inside of them.
But
What
how
is
would
right now?
but how would your God prove that these are objective moral truths and not just his subjective opinions? Oh, I don't like drinking. I don't like this. Oh, I do like it when you eat meat. Oh, I don't like
Yeah.
homosexuality. I don't like masturbation. Like, how are these? Who can? If you think that if opinions and stuff are just subjective and are meaningless, then why would you even grant God is right about these things? Why not just say they're his opinions?
Again, given that the only reason behind our existence is God, he's the ultimate authority, and everything that comes from him, I have to accept it. It's basically objective. You cannot live outside of him. There is no like you cannot opt out of being in God's world. We are dependent on God, and he's the ultimate decider of everything, the speed of light and what's moral and not. And when I say subjectively, I apply it to the creation. When the creation makes the claim, no, the speed of gravity is not 9.8, it's 6 meters. Or when they say, no, this is immoral or not, I believe that is just the creation trying to play God and pretend that they are the ultimate decider of what's right and wrong.
Well, but how is that not just an appeal to authority, though? Because if so, let's say it was proven to you tomorrow that your God didn't exist, and there was like an AI supercomputer that ran the world, and we had to abide by the AI supercomputer's logic and what it said was right or wrong, would you believe that that AI supercomputer was objectively right or wrong? Like, let's say that AI supercomputer said it's okay now to rape little kids or something. Would that AI supercomputer be right objectively just because it's the authority and we have to abide by its rules?
Yes, God is the ultimate authority, and you cannot live outside of that. I'm only existing because God created me and created the physical world. I'm only existing because of that. So I am dependent on his nature, on his creation, right? I'm part of the creation.
Okay, but so if the AI supercomputer ran the world and we were dependent on it to stay alive and the universe was dependent on it to stay alive, and the AI supercomputer said it's okay to traffic children, would you say that that was the objective moral truth, that it was okay to traffic children?
Again, if this person, this entity has created everything, um, then he decided everything that exists. If he decided that the speed of light is a certain speed and that this is moral and immoral, it is what it is. You cannot live outside of this uh, world that you're in, right? And for me to say, no, that is completely incorrect. Based on what? You are his creation, and based on what do you make that judgment? Are you like, do you believe you're God? No, we are not God.
Well, actually, why not? Why can't I, in my own mind, just be God and just be the objective moral truth? Like, what makes this supernatural being you believe in so special? Why can't I be right and he be wrong if it's just his mind and his opinions?
Because if you believe you are God and you are the creator of everything, then it's called delusion. If and you can try to believe in your head that you're God, and of course, if you really believe in that, try to spawn, like to make $1 billion appear in your room, and you'll very soon realize that you're not God.
Well,
And that's gonna yeah, that is gonna like pull you out of your imagination and delusion, right?
Okay, but again, why if God I think you're still appealing to authority or power. Like, why just because God creates stuff and runs the world and has the power to send you to hell, why does that mean that he would be right if he said this is objectively right, if he said this is right and objectively,
Yeah, but there is no such thing as you being correct and God incorrect if you're not the ultimate authority and God. For example, you cannot tell God, "Hey, God, you're incorrect. The speed of light is lower, is lesser than you said." Like based on what you make that judgment, you know. Who are
Okay,
you to say
but
that?
But who would God be to say that trafficking kids is okay if that was what was written in the Bible? Who would God be to say that? Why would he be right about that?
Because God is the ultimate authority, the ultimate source of everything. Nothing is above Him. And
Okay,
there is a distinction between the Creator and the creation. We are the creation, and we have no how is it? No justification or foundation to make the claim that God is wrong about something.
but what would be his justification? Just because he's powerful? So if God says
He,
trafficking kids is okay, his justification now is, well, I created you.
I think when you say his justification, I think there is an implication that he has to explain himself to who. Basically, he
Sure.
cannot. He doesn't have to
For the
explain
kids being
himself.
trafficked.
No, but the kids being trafficked are the creation.
So why couldn't they ask God, why the fuck are you doing this to me?
Because like you have no justification and foundation to make the claim that God is wrong about that.
But what would make God right that it was okay? Just because he created them?
He doesn't. When you say what will make God right, that implies that you believe there is a standard above God.
Well, why shouldn't there be a standard? Why isn't my standard above God? Why can't I just say, God, that's fucked up? Like, what the fuck are you doing trafficking children?
Again, I'll say again, if you believe that you're all knowing, all powerful, the ultimate source of wisdom, you can believe that in your head. And I told you, try to do some all powerful things, and you'll soon realize that you're not what you believe you are.
But okay, let's say a man is more powerful than a child, like the ones being trafficked. That would be like the child trafficker saying, I am more powerful than you. You don't get to decide what's right and wrong. It's a might makes right argument. So the child trafficker, in your view, if God didn't exist, the child trafficker, in your view, would be right and the child wrong, because the child trafficker is the one putting the child in the situation, and the child has no authority over the trafficker.
No, I said that in a non-God world, there is no such thing as moral and immoral objectively. All it will be left, it will be a random physical processes that happen in the world randomly uh, with no intention or a reason or mind behind it that dictates what is going to happen. It will be just like a random series of events, and you judging these random series of events as moral and immoral, you'll be just how you say, invention of your mind.
Yeah, but they would just be an invention of God's mind if he's saying this is moral and immoral. So it wouldn't be mind independent. It would just be, surely by your logic, just his own subjective opinions.
Yeah, again, of course, all things come out of God. Like he's the reason for everything. And again, I don't when I use uh, subjective, I use by the distinction between creator and creation. I know by that the definition is mind dependent, but that's what I do. Like I do the distinction because I believe that if he if he decided that the speed of gravity is 9.8 meters and he's the creator, you as a creation, you have no authority or no power or no foundation to say, no, God, you're wrong, it's not 9.8, it's 6.5. Like you have
Yeah, sure, because
no power.
that would be a physical thing, but not a mind thing based on a mind. That would be mind dependent. Sorry, mind independent. But stuff
No,
like
but
morality, which is not mind independent, these would just be God's subjective opinions.
no, but even the speed of light, it's mind dependent because God, with His mind, has created this world where He has decided that the speed of gravity is this certain speed, right?
But then maybe even that you could just say would be his subjective opinion if it's just based on his own opinions.
Right, but what I'm saying is that I draw the distinction between the creator that is able to create all the laws of physics and of nature, and the creation that just disagrees with it. I completely create a distinction between the person, the mind that's behind all of the creation, and the people that just say, "Oh, I don't like the way you created it."
All right, let's go back to the whole name the trait thing, because I think we're maybe getting bogged down here in the whole theological stuff. So, all right, let's just say then that you found out objectively tomorrow humans were not made in the image of God. Would you be okay in that case, in your own worldview, in replacing those animals in farms, in those concentration camps, in those slaughterhouses with humans and doing the same things to them?
Um, it's hard for me to put myself in that scenario, because it's like saying, imagine that the laws of non-contradiction existed. How would you behave? Like it's hard for me to pretend that we are not set in stone in this reality, but I try to put myself in the mind of an atheist and say, okay, God doesn't exist, and I believe in evolution. I believe in I have to preserve my species, and I have been taught evolution that that we have to select for these qualities that prolong our life, and there's nothing. If I eat meat and kill them, that has no effect on us as humans as going extinct. So therefore, it's from that standpoint, is checked. It's okay. But if I do it to humans, I promote this idea that humans are just as okay to kill as other species, and that is not consistent with the survivability traits that we have developed through evolution.
Yeah, but animals also have those survivability traits. They want to stay alive. So that would just be a category error, right? If you're saying that that would be like a differential property, or is that not what you're saying?
No, like they can have their own survivability, how you say, traits that they have developed, and I have my own. But also, the evolutionists said that species have an inbuilt preference for their own. They value their species more than others because this has been proven through evolution. This is what they believe. That is a very good way and efficient way to make sure that you have higher chances of surviving by being biased towards your own.
But that's not universally true of all humans. I value animals more than humans.
I mean, some people, I believe, some people are illogical and make decisions against against the survivability, against the traits developed through evolution, in order to have this more survivability. I believe, but this is just, I think you're going against your own nature if you believe in the evolution thing.
Well, it's just having empathy. I have empathy for those animals who are suffering in those cages, and I can put myself in the victim's position. That's what morality is. That's what empathy is. Do you have empathy?
Empathy is an emotion, and I do have empathy when it comes to humans, right? I try to put myself in their skin, because if there is no God and let's say I'm still an atheist, I value the human species, and because I value
Okay.
the human species, I put myself into their skin. I try to imagine.
And what is it that's true of animals that, if true of a human, would cause you to not have empathy for that human?
What is true of animals that if it was true of humans?
Yeah, would cause you to not have empathy for those humans.
Um, what is true? Not being created in God's image. That is true of the animals.
Okay. So again, if it was proven to you tomorrow that humans were not created in God's image, you would not have empathy for humans. You just wouldn't care. Like the Southport knife attack that happened the other day, assuming those girls were not created in God's image, you just would not care that that knifeman stabbed those 3 girls to death.
No, it's not that way. Because outside of God, you have to believe in evolution. And again, I make the same point that because of evolution, I have bias
Okay.
favoring towards my species.
But but then that's come up with a contradiction, because you said that was the trait, but then I asked you and you said no. So
No. But there are two ways. I told you from the beginning when you first asked me name the trait. I said my actual the way I actually behave in the world is through the lenses of the morality from God that comes from God. But you said, okay, remove those lenses. God doesn't exist. What you're left with? And I told you, if I try to put myself in the mind of an atheist and believe in evolution and what they have explained, that we have an inbuilt preference through evolution to favor our own species in order to survive, to have higher chances of survival.
But I think what you're doing here is you're kind of changing what the trait is slightly, or something like that. Like you're saying, oh, well, now if there is no God, I'm a totally different person. It seems is what you're doing here. I'm asking you now, from your current standpoint, what it is that's true of animals that, if true of a human, would cause you to have no empathy for that human. But what you seem to be doing is, when we then apply those traits, you now move into like a different person. You're saying I'm now a totally different person than but I would believe this.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So yes, I always carry myself in God's word, right? But you gave me a hypothetical, and it's not what I actually believe, right? But you said for me to try to come into this hypothetical, this imaginary world where God doesn't exist, and I tried to show you that if God doesn't exist, there is no morally moral. But then we will have to believe in the random chances that we have evolved this way. And if this is the standard that we follow, that we have randomly evolved this way, then this is the way I'm going to carry myself. I'm going to value my species over others.
Right, but surely that would just be an very arbitrary preference. Oh, I'm just valuing my species over others. That would just be like a white person saying, oh, I value white people over black people just because I'm white and they're black. Like there would need to be, there's traits that those certain species members have that make you value them, right? Even if you didn't believe that God exists, you would surely value humans not just because they're human. You would feel empathy for those little girls who got stabbed the other day because why?
Because they're of my species.
That's it. Literally, just because those little girls are human, like the fact that they're sentient, that they suffer, they feel pain, that didn't matter to you at all. That they were screaming and terrified as that knifeman ran in. All that mattered is, well, they were humans.
Again, this is the scientific, so-called scientific explanation of the evolutionists, is that we have come to this way of living due to evolution, due to selection of certain traits for survivability, and that's what they say, that we value humans because we have selected through millions of years for these traits. This is what they claim.
Yep. But the traits that we value when we have empathy for others, it's because we can see that they're suffering, they're feeling pain, and so on. It's not just because they're human. That's how we do feel empathy for it. Like if you saw a dog being skinned alive, you would surely feel empathy for that dog.
Depends.
It depends on what.
If I want to eat the dog or not.
Wait, so you wouldn't feel empathy for them just because you want to eat them?
Yes.
But how does that change what's happening to the victim?
It does not change. But I have been through evolution. I have been the result of evolution, where when it comes to eating food, we are very like we have to eat, and I value my species.
Okay,
I give them more value to my species than to a dog. I give the dog some value,
okay,
right? But
all
it's
right.
less. It's less.
All right, let's do it this way. Let's say it was found out on the news tomorrow that the 3 girls who were murdered in the Southport knife attack the other day, their genome was slightly altered by 1%, such that they were not human. Would you now feel no empathy for the girls who were murdered in the Southport knife attack?
Wait, hold on. But I don't think this actually exists. Do humans do humans that walk the earth have different genomes than the human genome? Are there such things walking the
they
earth?
wouldn't be human. So the 3 girls who died the other day in the Southport knife attack, yeah, let's say their genome was found out that their genome had been slightly altered so much that it was just like 1%, so they were no longer of the human species. Let's call them Haymans. So we find out that these 3 girls murdered in the Southport knife attack were not humans, they were actually Haymans. Do you now not think that this was immoral? Do you no longer have empathy for them?
Depends, right? Because through the evolution, if I have my eyes, and with my eyes I see a person that looks exactly like a human being, which is very weird, because in order to be a human being exactly looking the same like the rest, you have to have the same human genome. But yeah, this is like a contradicting type of like scenario.
Well,
But
let's say they don't look identical. Let's say they found out that their feet look different from ours. Like they took off their shoes and they found out that those 3 girls who were murdered, their feet look, maybe they have like 2 toes or something like that. And they are haymans. We found that these new species called haymans. They have 2 toes.
so they are completely like they're different species, right?
They're a different species.
Yeah, then I don't value them.
And you wouldn't feel any empathy for what happened to them?
But not really. I mean, a little bit. Just like I told you, I have empathy for the dog in certain ways. But when it comes to eating them, no.
Okay, yeah, dude, I think we've got about as far as we can go. I would say you have what's called a shell morality, which means you basically care about, you would only care about someone dependent of there being a god based on essentially what they look like.
You gave, I don't know, it's very weird because you gave a non-existing scenario and like
It's a hypothetical, yeah, to test, just to test.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see what, like, how
Yeah,
your
but I
values
don't-
would come about. Like, it's just, it sounds,
Right.
no offense, dude, but it sounds bonkers to me that if we found out that those 3 girls who were murdered in the Southport knife attack the other day were not human, they were just a slightly different species because their genome was altered by 1%, you just wouldn't care.
Yeah, but the thing is with your scenario is that those girls came from other humans, and there is no such thing as being born through humans and not having the human genome. That doesn't exist. It's like asking me, "Hey, who do you think is stronger, Superman or Batman?" It's like, what? That doesn't even. It's not real, bro.
Well, okay, yeah, it's just a consistency tool, but I mean, sure, we could amend the hypothetical certainly so much that, let's say, I don't know, we find out these girls were created in a lab or something like that. We can do all that, but they feel pain in the way that we would. They they valued their lives in the way that they would. They have human language, everything, but we find out that they were haymans and they were created in a lab. And you're just saying, because they're a different species and they're not created in God's image, in your mind, that this Southport knife attack on those 3 girls, it now just doesn't matter and you don't care.
Yeah, but in your hypothetical, the girls being grown in a lab have the exact human genome, like humans.
No, they would have a different human genome. They have the Hayman
So it's
genome.
not a human. So it's not a human genome. It's
No,
another.
they're
genome.
a different species. They're a different species.
Yeah, then I have no problem with it.
Okay, dude. Well, look.
The thing is, just one second. I mean, actually, if I'm thinking about it, I do have a problem with it because I don't believe we should stab other species just because we want to stab them, right? But if
Okay.
if let's say these girls, not girls, because girls we call human female girls. I wouldn't say girls. These XYZs, let's say these XYZs tasted amazingly, and let's say, you know how the Chinese people, they try all sorts of foods. They say that the Chinese people tasted these XYZs and say, bro, these new animals created in a lab, they taste amazing. If they stab them and kill them very quick for food, I'm okay with it.
All right, man. Look, I think we've gone as far as we can go with this because I don't think there's much more I can say to that. But yeah, cool. Max, thank you for joining me today for the debate, I guess. And I'll send you the link on YouTube.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much, man. It was nice talking to you, bro. Thank
You
you
too, man.
for letting me come in here, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. All right.
Yeah,
Catch you
appreciate
soon.
it. Have a good one, man. Take care.
You too.